When I was a child, I would immediately run out the back door and get my bare feet muddy as I ran around. My 6-year-old self was fascinated with the yellow glowing bugs, to which my mother saw and came outside to see. I shouted, "Look, Mommy, I'm catching lightning bugs!" After a while, my mom called me inside, and I quietly said goodbye to my friends. As you might have guessed, these so-called lightning bugs in my childhood have a more common name, fireflies. Fireflies and other animals use a specific ability of generating light within their own bodies. This is bioluminescence. Before I explain 3 important uses of bioluminescence, it helps to understand how it came about. National Geographic states that bioluminescence is a chemical reaction that requires 2 things to function: luciferin and luciferase. Luciferin is a substrate in a chemical reaction, and the arrangement of these luciferin molecules is what gives off color, which in our fireflies would be yellow. The other part, luciferase, is the enzyme that interacts with the substrate to speed up the reaction. The addition of luciferin with oxygen and luciferase creates oxyluciferin, the product of the reaction, which creates light and allows organisms like fireflies to give off light naturally from their bodies. Wait. So since bioluminescence is basically light, can't we replace that with the light bulbs we use currently? Research within the last 5 years has suggested that we will be able to use bioluminescence as a potential form of green energy in the near future. Since bioluminescence doesn't require electricity, researchers are investigating using engineered bioluminescence to replace standard street lighting. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, the U.S. spent $11 billion on outdoor lighting in 2012, and 30% of that $11 billion that was spent was used on areas that didn't even use or need the light. Electrical lighting comes with so many disadvantages, such as cost, so the use of bioluminescence would be a goal to help reduce some of that original cost. If you have heard of bioluminescence before I mentioned it, chances are that you know the reference to animals. Animals will use this substance for a variety of things, including hunting prey, finding mates, and defense against predators. According to BBC News in 2013, these creatures that use bioluminescence will provide a way for scientists to study environmental changes in the sea. Certain organisms like jellyfish already have the capabilities to produce this light, but others can't naturally produce the light-emitting chemicals, so they get it from the organisms they eat. These interactions between a predator and its prey can lead scientists to study changes in marine food webs and therefore regulate if necessary. Perhaps the most important thing to note is that bioluminescence has carried a lot of weight in the medical field. Researchers within the last decade have found many practical uses for it. Medical professionals are starting to use its contribution to detect Alzheimer's disease, or even cancer and tumors. Although most of the medical research being done is focused on cancer and its effects, there are 3 other pathways to investigate more in this field. 1. Bioluminescence has helped improve the detection of blood clots since 2011. Connecticut College in 2011 had scientists that used luciferase for medical imaging. They were watching patients treated with heparin, shown in the image, which is the blood thinner that is used to prevent or treat blood clots. They had combined luciferase with a dye, and the protein started to emit near-infrared light and detect small amounts of a blood protein. Because of this dye and blood protein, these scientists were better able to understand heparin treatment and determine the effectiveness of using the blood thinner. Another focus of bioluminescence is tracking the transmission of HIV. Millions of people are affected by HIV every day. Since primates are closest to humans, the journal Cell Host and Microbe presented a new study that tried to track how HIV was actually transmitted. Researchers used a virus similar to HIV called SIV and inserted luciferase into SIV. They discovered that SIV doesn't enter the cervix like researchers originally thought. If HIV and SIV work similarly, it's possible that HIV may not enter through the cervix like SIV, which would be a completely new advance surrounding the thoughts of HIV. Lastly, let's shed some light on the connection between the placenta and fetus of a mother. According to an article published on June 1, 2016 on the Mental Floss website, there hasn't been human testing yet. Luciferase was used to illuminate the blood-placenta barrier so transport functions could be better understood. Luciferase also showed how well the blood-placenta barrier protected the fetus from what the mother ingested. Since the blood-placenta barrier works similarly to the blood-brain barrier in protecting from harmful substances, researchers are extremely hopeful on translating this research to human studies within the next few years. C. N. Hamilton once said that every drop of knowledge sparks a light, illuminating an ocean of darkness teeming on the edge of brilliance. We've examined several different functions of bioluminescence, perhaps some capabilities that haven't been heard of before. This natural light we find in animals serves many functions for animals themselves, as well as for humans. Scientists are hopeful to develop green energy and to look further into the marine food webs deep in the ocean. But the big illuminating factor is the positive impact bioluminescence is likely to have on the future of medicine. And I am very hopeful that it will continue to sustain us in the future. Thank you.